There have been some major developments in Hall of Fame quarterback Brett Favre's defamation lawsuit against sports commentator Pat McAfee in recent weeks. In this video, we'll cover all of the new developments in Brett Favre's defamation lawsuit against Pat McAfee. Before we get into the video, a quick disclaimer: this video is not legal advice. So with that out of the way, let's get into the video. On February 9th, Brett Favre filed a complaint against Pat McAfee in Mississippi State Court. Let's take a look at highlights from Brett Favre's complaint against McAfee. Here we have Brett Favre's original complaint against Pat McAfee. As you can see, it was filed on February 9th, 2023 in Mississippi State Court here. And it states that defendant McAfee, on his popular national sports podcast, which has an audience of hundreds of thousands of viewers daily, has made egregious, false, and defamatory statements that Favre, the Hall of Fame quarterback and native son of Mississippi, was a thief who was stealing from the poor people in Mississippi. If we skip forward here to the statement of the facts section, Chapter 1 begins by stating that Brett Favre was born and raised in Mississippi. During his career, he had 2 Super Bowl appearances, including a victory in Super Bowl 31. And then Favre goes on to explain how he has various endorsement deals with companies like Wrangler and Copperfit. It says Favre has also co-hosted a regular radio show on Sirius XM, the Sirius XM Blitz, with Brett Favre and Bruce Murray. And he has made paid appearances at autograph signing and speaking events. And then in Chapter 2, it goes on to accuse McAfee of making egregious falsehoods about Favre. In paragraph 17, it states, since the Pat McAfee show's inception in the fall of 2019, McAfee has built a fan base of more than 3 million social media followers. Video clips of the Pat McAfee show posted on the YouTube Pat McAfee Show channel, which has over 2.1 million subscribers, regularly see traffic of over 100,000 views each. On November 30th, 2022, during one of the episodes of that show, McAfee falsely accused Favre of serious crimes, stating, quote,
"Watch Home Alone last night. Brett Favre, what did he do? Didn't just steal from the poor. Yeah, he did that. What else? Oh, he is the actual Sticky Finger Bandits.
Yep, that's right.
From Home Alone 2 in New York. And we have to make sure that is mentioned every time that man's mentioned.
Have to.
Because that is a big deal that happened.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's a big deal. Now, obviously, Brett Favre Enterprises is alleging that this is all wrong.
That's right.
But for the information that we have currently, every time his name gets brought up, we have to mention he tied the hands of the poor people and took money right out of their pockets.
That's right.
Good football player.
Right.
Did a lot of things, certainly in the middle of stealing from poor people in Mississippi right now.
In paragraph 19, it states that McAfee published yet another statement defaming Favre on Twitter on December 24, 2022. In his tweet, which included a video of NFL wide receiver Devontae Smith celebrating a touchdown by pantomiming stealing from an oversized Salvation Army basket. So here we have a video clip of the tweet that Pat McAfee made that Favre is accusing him of defaming him. And you can understand why Favre didn't like this. Notably, this clip has gotten 3.9 million views since it was posted. It's been retweeted thousands of times, gotten 47,000 likes. So needless to say, this was viewed and published to a lot of people. Now, moving back over to Favre's complaint against McAfee here, it goes on in paragraph 21. On February 3rd, 2023, counsel for Favre demanded that McAfee retract and apologize for his defamatory statements. McAfee refused, prompting Favre to file this action. McAfee actually addressed this on his show.
Brett Favre suing me in a defamation lawsuit, saying I defamed his name to try to earn a profit. So I would like to let the New York lawyers that wrote me 2 letters before this thing got announced. First letter was, we would like you to go back and erase every single video that has Brett Favre's name mentioned in it from your YouTube library, your Twitter library, and everything else. This is a warning shot pretty much. So I looked at that. I said, that is hilarious. Of course we're not doing that. Put that down, move on with my life. Then a few days later, you have until Wednesday, okay, this Super Bowl week, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, to issue a public apology to Brett Favre and also to erase all of the video in your catalog that involved Brett Favre's name. So now I had a deadline, 8:30. I was planning on doing it.
Yeah.
We played pickleball.
We did.
And I got caught up. That timeline came and went. And all of a sudden, I'm getting sued. I would like to let everybody know the quotes that were in that lawsuit were certainly accurate. But there's one word I believe that was said often on this particular program, if you were to watch it all, and that would be allegedly.
That's right.
And we certainly said allegedly. And a lot of people are wondering how my lawyers are going to handle this. You know it. I ain't got them. I'm excited to see how it goes. I'll see you in court, pal.
Then in paragraph 22, it goes on to state that McAfee's false statements that Favre stole money from poor people in Mississippi are malicious lies that injured Favre's reputation and caused Favre financial harm by, among other things, diminishing Favre's ability to generate income through endorsements, appearances at events or on radio and television programs, or hosting his own radio or television program. Then we've got the cause of action section. As you can see, I have highlighted all of the key elements of a defamation claim. It's got to be published to a third party or multiple third party here, McAfee's audience, and the statements must be factual in nature rather than opinions, and the statements must be false. A key issue in Favre's case is whether or not he actually engaged in criminal behavior. Favre is going to have to produce evidence that he did not, thereby making McAfee's statements false. And then because Favre is a public figure, he must go above and beyond the normal elements of a defamation claim and prove actual malice, that McAfee made those statements with knowledge of the falsity of the defamatory nature of the statements, or at a minimum with a reckless disregard for their falsity by purposely avoiding the truth. And so here we've got a defamation per se claim, which one of the categories of defamation per se, the thing speaks for itself, is the allegation that somebody has committed a crime. Here, Favre is pointing out that McAfee accused him of committing a crime by stealing from poor Mississippians. And then it says this injured Favre's reputation. That's another element. Exposed him to public hatred, animus, contempt, or ridicule, degraded him in society, lessened him in public esteem, or lowered him in the confidence of the community. Then in paragraph 31, it says Favre has suffered damages in an amount to be determined at trial. So ultimately, the jury is going to get to decide the dollar amount that Favre is entitled to recover from McAfee, if anything, if it ultimately finds that McAfee did defame him. On March 24th, McAfee lawyered up and removed the lawsuit from state court where Favre had filed it up to federal court. Let's look at highlights from Pat McAfee's notice of removal. So here we have McAfee's notice of removal to federal court. You can see that he filed this on March 24th, and he removed it to the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Mississippi. Let's take a look at a few highlights in the notice of removal to federal court. Here it states that 28 U.S.C. 1332, that's the removal statute, provides that, quote, the district courts shall have original jurisdiction of all civil actions. This is a civil action where the number one matter in controversy exceeds the sum or value of $75,000. And then number two, the citizens are of different states. And so here in the first section, it explains how Favre is a citizen of Mississippi, whereas McAfee is domiciled. That means he resides in the state of Indiana. So they're completely diverse in this lawsuit. So that means the diversity of citizenship requirement is satisfied. But if you noticed in Favre's complaint, he did not list a specific dollar amount of damages. So how do we know whether or not the amount in controversy exceeds $75,000 and meets the threshold required for removal to federal court? Well, Pat McAfee's notice of removal addresses that very issue. As you can see here in paragraph 11, it states that Favre claims that McAfee's conduct caused him, quote, financial harm by, among other things, diminishing Favre's ability to generate income through endorsements, appearances at events or on radio and television programs, or hosting his own radio or television program. Then down here in paragraph 14, it states that removal is proper if it is facially apparent that the amount in controversy exceeds the sum or value of $75,000, even if it doesn't explicitly state a dollar figure amount of damages that the plaintiff, in this case Favre, is seeking. Then in paragraph 15, it states that Favre's claim for punitive damages alone satisfies the amount in controversy requirements of the $75,000 threshold. And then in paragraph 16, it states the amount in controversy also includes Favre's demand for legal fees. It states that 6 lawyers have entered their appearance on Favre's behalf in this case. His legal fees undoubtedly will alone exceed the $75,000 jurisdictional minimum. And I can attest to that. Most of these lawyers are probably billing at a rate higher than $350, probably higher than $400 an hour. And so given how many hours they've probably already spent on this case, it is going to quickly exceed $75,000. So in other words, this is a high stakes lawsuit on both sides. Then moving on to paragraph 17, it states that additional facts outside the complaint further demonstrate that the amount in controversy exceeds the jurisdictional minimum of $75,000. Favre's counsel recently stated during an interview that this case is worth millions of dollars and suggested that it could bankrupt McAfee. So let's take a look at that YouTube clip where Favre's lawyer says this.
Well, I guarantee you the jury in Mississippi will make certain he learns how to apologize. It's going to cost Pat McAfee millions of dollars. And if it bankrupts him, then he will have learned his lesson about you don't try to promote yourself by inappropriately and improperly attacking somebody else.
Wow. Do you think this is going to cost him millions of dollars?
Yep.
Now we're back on Pat McAfee's notice of removal. And then it goes on to state that while certainly disputed by McAfee, Favre's attorneys apparently believe that the complaint seeks damages well in excess of the jurisdictional minimum of $75,000. Then it states finally in paragraph 19, it is facially apparent that the amount in controversy exceeds the sum or value of $75,000. I think it's safe to say that this case will remain in federal court. Although McAfee joked about being sued by Brett Favre on his show, on his Feel Good Friday show, right after he received a copy of the complaint, McAfee has clearly lawyered up on Brett Favre in a big way. On March 31st, they filed a 28-page motion to dismiss Favre's lawsuit. McAfee's lawyers attached over 1,000 pages of exhibits to their motion to dismiss. These exhibits include things like text messages between Brett Favre and other people about the transfer of money and the donation of money. These exhibits go directly to the merits of the case. With that being said, make sure to hit that subscribe button below and turn the bell notification icon on so that you don't miss my next video in this series of videos where I will actually review highlights from McAfee's 28-page motion to dismiss Favre's complaint and some of the key exhibits that he attached. And of course, as always, thank you for watching.